Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're taking some incredibly complex source material and breaking it down into clear, visual insights. And wow, do we have a fascinating subject for you. We are distilling the profound 86-year lived experience of Nigerian journalist, diplomat, and public intellectual, Ambassador Patrick Dele Cole. I mean, this is a man whose life literally acts as a mirror to a nation's incredibly complex history. We're going to explore his insights on everything from the raw power of the press to the very real dangers of tribalism and ultimately how we might build a better future. Okay, let's dive into this.
So here's our roadmap for today. 1. The weight of history. 2. Truth in the press. 3. A fight for merit. 4. The rise of tribalism. And 5. Designing a better future.
Starting us off, Section 1, The Weight of History.
To truly grasp Cole's perspective, we really have to anchor ourselves on this immense number, 86. This isn't just academic theory we're talking about. It's a perspective forged in the absolute fires of historical change. At 86 years old, Ambassador Cole has lived through it all: colonial rule, the fierce fight for independence, various military regimes, and the shift to modern democracy. His life can literally be measured in the institutions he helped shape, the powerful ideas he challenged, and the generations of thinkers he's influenced. He's watched a nation rise, stumble, completely reinvent itself, and as we'll see, repeatedly confront the exact same demons. It gives him a vantage point that is honestly incredibly rare.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the sharp, heartbreaking contrast Cole draws between the nation he was born into and the reality facing youth today. He inherited a Nigeria where young people had profound hope, deeply shared parental values, and unlimited merit-based advancement. The whole idea was that you were your brother's keeper, right? But today, he notes this massive shift toward pervasive youth hopelessness. It's a landscape where values feel lost to fragmented social systems, and people are just struggling for basic survival. And, when things go wrong, people tend to immediately blame the system. But Cole uses this brilliant bird's-eye view metaphor to challenge that entirely. Look at this rapid state division. We go from a unified British colony, split into 4 states, then 19, then 21, and now 36. Cole argues that constantly fracturing the system just isn't a solution. His crucial point here is that systems only work when you have good people to actually run them. So blaming a system is really just an excuse when a nation lacks the principled leadership required to hold it all together.
Moving right along to Section 2, Truth and the Press.
Back in the 1970s, Cole took the helm of the Daily Times, which was Nigeria's flagship newspaper. And this quote right here completely defines his fearless philosophy. Your first responsibility is to your audience, to tell uncomfortable truths. He deeply understood that the press had to be a genuine, active force against power. In the source material, he actually talks about how military heads of state would repeatedly threaten to throw him in prison over things his journalist wrote. And his response? There was no fear. He would openly joke with them, basically saying, hey, if you lock up a journalist today, the press is just going to make an even bigger story out of it tomorrow. He stood as a true, unwavering shield for his writers.
But courage alone wasn't his only tool. The guy had a brilliant strategy. Cole recognized this unspoken animosity between academics and journalists, and he decided to just merge them. He actively recruited highly educated Nigerian academics living overseas to come back and join his editorial board. He was blending rigorous intellectualism directly into daily journalism to elevate the whole national discourse. And this was absolutely vital at the time because the paper was trying to sell a critical 9-point political transition program to the public. They needed top-tier intellect to make that case compellingly and, crucially, credibly.
All right, that brings us to Section 3, A Fight for Merit.
To truly understand this fight, we have to look at this very visceral anecdote from Cole's youth that acts as just a perfect microcosm for navigating flawed systems. Walk through this snappy sequence with me, because it is wild. Step 1. Young Cole scores an incredible 112 with 3 distinctions, yet his name is mysteriously left off the federal scholarship list. No way, right? Step 2. He flat out refuses to be a victim. He literally barges into the powerful civil servant's office and refuses to leave until he gets an answer. Step 3. The bureaucrat randomly tries to appease him with a sudden placement in Iraq. Cole smartly asks, "Would you send your son to Iraq?" and rejects it on the spot. And finally, Step 4. His sheer persistence completely pays off, and he secures a prestigious Commonwealth scholarship to New Zealand.
And this brilliantly illustrates one of Cole's absolute core beliefs about how governments actually function. Based on that encounter, he learned that true bureaucratic power doesn't just sit with elected leaders. It lies with principled civil servants. A system only functions fairly when those civil servants have the sheer courage to push back against corrupt political whims and simply tell powerful leaders, no sir, we can't do that.
Which leads us to Section 4, The Rise of Tribalism.
So, Cole argues that the concept of meritocracy, the very thing he fought so hard for as a young man, is being systematically replaced by a much more destructive, soft option: tribalism. On one side, he points to the old foundational nationalists, leaders like Zeke, Sardauna, and Bulawayo. While they came from very different areas, he notes they unified those diverse regions to build a functional nation. But on the flip side, Cole is highly critical of modern politicians. He states that today's politicians actively exploit ethnic divisions and ride the wave of tribalism. And why do they do it? Well, the source material explains his view clearly. They do it to mask their inability to actually deliver progress, and purely for their own personal financial gain.
To really cement his analysis of modern political corruption, Cole uses this incredibly striking, darkly comedic metaphor. Take a listen.
You've seen Mr. Alibaba, and you have given him the key to the bank. Alibaba is no longer guarding the bank, he's helping himself.
Wow. It's such a powerful way to visualize the utter lack of public accountability. What he's saying is that when systems abandon merit for tribal favoritism, you basically end up handing the keys over to people who are entirely focused on helping themselves to the vault.
Okay, let's turn to our final section, Section 5, Designing a Better Future.
Let's move to and see how this builds on everything we've discussed. After identifying these massive, deep-seated systemic issues, what exactly is Cole's practical roadmap to healing a fractured nation? Well, his solutions are fundamental and remarkably straightforward. First up, total openness and accountability in government. It's non-negotiable. Second, budgets cannot just be suggestions. They must be strictly defended and properly audited. Third, universal education, but with a massive caveat. It must actually increase the workforce and guarantee a job at the end of the training. And finally, fourth, returning to that cultural value of being our brother's keeper. He argues that stepping up and helping your fellow man ultimately enlivens your own soul.
We're going to wrap up our explainer today with this highly provocative thought, which is inspired directly by the source material's opening dialogue. If people constantly go to the polls, if they constantly change governments, yet real accountability and justice remain completely missing, we have to ask, have we been measuring the wrong things at the polls entirely? I mean, when does democracy stop being just a performative ritual and start actually meaning accountability? It's a hugely important, globally relevant question, and one that really challenges us to rethink the very metrics of a functioning society. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I genuinely hope this explainer has sparked your curiosity to look a little deeper into the systems around you.